gavel. We're ready to go.
You have the power.
Get him in out of here.
Power of the gavel.
I don't want to go home.
They'll stop.
Throw it at him.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the October 5th, 2020 Public Council meeting. May I have roll call, please?
Councilman Sakala?
Here.
Councilman Nasseri? Here. Councilman Zakelli?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Tanella?
Here.
Mayor Peterson?
Here, please rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting was duly provided to the Verona, Cedar Grove Times, and the Star Ledger by email and published in an annual schedule of meetings December 26, 2019, filed with the Township Clerk and posted on the public bulletin board in the municipal building lobby in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Good evening, everyone. Item 2 is extraordinary business of the Township Council. We actually have 2 items under this, and we are going to start with the mask donation to our Board of Education, and welcome to all of our Board of Education members and Superintendent Grasso. So, Councilman Zakelli.
Thank you, Mayor. So I was going to work one morning, and Chairman of the Port Authority, Kevin O'Toole, called me into his office and said, I saw that our students are going back to school soon on a hybrid platform. Do they have masks? Are there enough masks for everyone in school, and for the teachers, and for the faculty, and for the staff? So truthfully, I don't know. Let me find out. So that didn't even matter, because Kevin and Tom are so generous, and they give back to this community so much. Tom was our town attorney for, Mr. Tucci, almost 20 years here?
Over 20 years.
Over 20 years, and Chairman O'Toole grew up in town here. He went to Cedar Grove High School, and he knows the importance of education in Cedar Grove, of the connection between the students and the teachers, and through his generosity and through Tom Scribo's generosity, they donated 2,250 masks that I'm going to present to the Board of Education tonight. The number breakdown is as follows. North End School is getting 276 masks. South End is getting 330 masks. The middle school is getting 459 masks. The high school is getting 508 masks. The staff and the Board of Education is getting 277 masks. And each school is going to have 100 masks additional to the ones that I just said. I'm going to take a quote from Dave Schoner, who's here with us. This is all about the kids. It's all about the students. Dave always says that, and I think Kevin and the Port were so moved by the wave ceremony that we wanted to just keep building on the focus on the students. And I know the Board of Ed, the governing body, we all want what's best for the students here in town. So Chrissy Dyes, the President of the Board of Ed, Len, Michelle, Nicole, our new superintendent, Mr. Grasso, Dave. We, as the governing body, we're so happy to work with you guys, and I know Kevin, although he couldn't be here today, is so honored to donate this to the school that, you know, had such an impact on him, and to get the students back in the classroom in a safe and conducive environment for learning. We couldn't do anything else, so we want to donate this to, Kevin wants to donate this to the Board of Ed. So I'm going to give it over to you, Ms. Dye.
Joe, why don't you take one out just to,
Sure.
to show the public what exactly they are.
So they're all different sizes, and the material's very nice. There's a little panther logo.
Very nice.
Very nice.
So Mr. O'Toole, Mr. Scrivo, their law firm is incredibly generous, and I don't know if you want to say a few words.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Take a picture behind the mask.
Sure, thank you. I just want to say thank you on behalf of the board. We are so appreciative of everyone's generosity, and we appreciate it. And it really was a group effort to get our students back. It involved the town and the police and the council and the administrators and so many people. And so we are so incredibly grateful. And I just want to say that we have such a great relationship amongst the 10 and extended of us. And it wasn't always like that. And the fact that we can get so much done as a governing body together is so important for this town, and I look forward to continuing that. And thank you again. If you extend your thank you to both, to Kevin and everybody else. We greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Dye.
Mr. Grasser?
I think the whole governing body should
Come on down.
take a
Okay.
picture.
Everybody in?
Everybody should come up.
Uh-oh.
I think you all should go up, yeah.
So maybe we could ask,
Mr. Tucci, do you
I'll take the
Stay up
picture.
here?
I'll take the picture. Just go lower the box.
Yeah. You know the optics.
We all fit in there?
I don't know how we can, you know what, maybe we should
Stay up here?
Do you want the governor,
Yeah.
well, can we
We'll
stay
just
up
cover
here?
it. We'll take
Yeah.
social
Can you get the governing body up?
distancing.
I'm not standing here trying to leave my
I know.
masks off or leaving our masks on.
We learned to not
I think we can.
Oh, yeah. Can you get in there?
Can you get closer?
Oh, he's a big guy.
All right. Hang on, let me take another one. Enlarge this a little bit. Very good.
thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you so much.
Chris, you have fun carrying it all to your car.
Send somebody over tomorrow.
That's
to
why
take a
Kevin didn't want to come today.
He didn't want to have to.
Have a good night, guys.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great.
Thank you so much.
That's right. You have the mark on it.
I meant
Pass up the chairs. Thank you. Thank you all very
Good night,
much.
guys.
Oh, because this is too low.
It's long overdue, and I think you're supposed to be hosting?
Yes.
Okay.
I know something there.
I say it in public.
We will get it on. We're going to talk about that a little bit
So
later.
shut that switch off
Thank
over
you,
there.
guys.
Thank you very much.
Have a great
Good night,
night.
guys.
Thank
Good night.
you.
Good night.
Give them a minute. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Councilman Zakelli. And I have a, under agenda item number 2, B, which is Domestic Violence Awareness Month proclamation. And I have Miss Sherry Bloomberg here from the Clinical Coalition of Domestic Violence Services. I'm going to come down, Miss Bloomberg. It's nice to meet you.
Same here, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming. I'm just going to read this proclamation, and I welcome you to say a few words if you would.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Terry, that
Do you mind if I
microphone
take a
doesn't
picture?
work. You can have, this
Oh,
one
okay.
does.
Oh, no, not at all. Well, good thing I'm not too tall, so it's all good. Here, I'll just read it here. Okay. Township of Cedar Grove, Essex County, New Jersey proclamation. Whereas home should be a place of warmth, unconditional love, tranquility, and whereas the crime of domestic violence violates an individual's privacy and dignity, security and humanity due to systemic use of physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, and economic control and/or abuse, including abuse to children and elderly. And whereas the problems of domestic violence are not confined to any group of people, but across all economic, racial, and societal barriers and are not supported by societal indifference. And whereas the impact of domestic violence is wide-ranging, directly affecting individuals and society as a whole, here in this community, throughout the United States and the world. And whereas battered women have been in the forefront of efforts to bring peace and equality to the home. Now, therefore, I, Carrie Peterson, Mayor of the Township of Cedar Grove, in recognition of the important work done by domestic violence programs, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2020 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. In the Township of Cedar Grove, we all urge all citizens to actively participate in the scheduled activities and programs to work toward improving victim safety and holding perpetrators of domestic abuse accountable for their actions against individual victims and our society as a whole. And this is signed by our entire council. So please take this on behalf of our township, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you again, Mayor Peterson, and to the whole town council. Sorry. Okay. I just want to take a minute to acknowledge the importance of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, especially this year. I've been working in this field now. I'm the clinical director for the Racial Coalition, which is a division of Jewish Family Service. We're based in Florham Park and Livingston, and we serve Essex and Morris counties. And I've been doing this work for 30 years. We've always known the dangers that victims of abuse face. 1 out of every 4 women will be a victim of domestic violence. With men, it's a little bit of a larger number, a larger, more rare incident, but it also occurs. But this year in particular, we have faced challenges like I can't explain. In March, when we were all told to stay at home for safety, that was the exact thing that put victims of abuse in danger. Having to be with abusers for 24 hours straight, with financial insecurity, with abusers taking away their masks, not allowing them to leave the homes. We know that the calls to the police went up, 20, 30% in different areas. Newark was 21% between March and May. However, victims were not calling our programs. They were afraid. They felt like they had nowhere to turn. They were afraid to come to a shelter because they didn't want to catch COVID. They couldn't go to a friend or a family because we were all in a lockdown situation. So victims this year have had challenges like we've never experienced before. And more important than ever, again, we need to recognize the plight of victims of abuse and make it public, make it known, let society, our community know that it's not their fault and that there are resources and that there's help out there for them. And I really thank you again for taking this time to acknowledge DV Awareness Month.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you for the work that you do. We did this last year as well, and it always strikes me, you just never know what goes on behind people's doors. You go to Food Town, maybe you think someone's looking gruff, and you have no idea what they might be going through. And it's so important, the work that you do, and providing a service and a resource to help these victims. And we will definitely do everything that we can do here in Cedar Grove to bring awareness and make people feel safe and let the resources be known that they're available to them. So thank you for taking time out of your evening tonight and coming here.
Thank you again.
You're welcome. I don't know if any of the other council members want to make any comments.
Mayor, if I may.
Yeah.
Actually, I had it as one of the items in my report, but I also wanted to just elaborate a little bit on that as well. October, there's many observances in October, and certainly an important one is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I'm happy that the council unanimously, obviously, put together this proclamation for today. I just wanted to add, just for the public, so they have it, the state has a 800 number, and it's a hotline that's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's 1-800-572-SAFE. So it's 1-800-572-7233. And again, and as it was indicated earlier, many people are afraid and don't have the ability to seek help. This is available. It's confidential, and certainly if you know someone that needs the assistance, that's a great place to call and to get the help that they need. So thank you again, and thank you for your service as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Stay safe, everyone.
You too. Thank you. Okay. Item 3, approval of minutes. A, to consider approval of minutes of regular public meeting dated September 14th, 2020.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you. Can I have roll call, please?
Councilman Sakala?
Yes.
Councilman Nasseri?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tinelli?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes. Item number 4 is a public hearing to consider adoption of pending ordinance number 20-864, creating deed restriction.
Mayor, you need to open the public
So,
hearing.
oh, okay, I didn't know if Mr. Tucci had any comments. No? Okay. So I will open the meeting to any members who are here this evening if you want to comment on this pending ordinance only. Okay, seeing none, I'll close that portion and ask for a motion, please.
Mayor, I move for the adoption of pending ordinance number 20-864 to be published in the Verona Cedar Grove Times as a passed ordinance to take effect as prescribed by law.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Sakala?
Yes.
Councilman Nasseri?
Yes.
Councilman Zakelli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tanella?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes. Okay, item 5, the meeting is open to residents of the township wishing to be heard on any item on the agenda. Okay, seeing none, I will close that. Item 6, reports of the township officials. Township Manager, good evening, Mr. Tucci.
Mayor, just a few quick items this evening. Number one, I would like to advise the council and the public about the added assessments that as of the close of October. Our increased ratables are $6,075,100. Of that, the pro rata revenue is $81,555.89. Of that amount, Cedar Grove will receive $64,548.61, and the County of Essex will realize $17,003.28. So I just want to bring you up to speed on where we are with added assessments for this year. Also, we had a request for a trick or trunk on Mawall Drive, which a lot of neighborhoods are doing that, just closed events. We have that request. We don't see any problem with it. I checked with police and fire. So if the governing body doesn't have any objection, we're going to approve this and allow this to happen.
Okay,
Right?
no objection.
No objection.
That's all I have for this evening,
Okay,
Mayor.
thank you. Mrs. Stutz, good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. The only thing I have is that the last day to register, if you are not already registered, in order to be able to vote in the general election, is October 13th. Clerk services will be available that evening until 9 p.m. to accommodate any late voters. The actual fastest way to register to vote is online at the state website through vote.nj.gov.
Okay,
That's it.
thank you very much. Okay, and good evening, Mr. Semeraro.
Good evening, Mayor. I have nothing to report.
No? Okay, great, thank you. And reports of the council. Councilman Masseri.
Thank you, Mayor. Two other points I wanted to highlight, besides domestic violence in October. We have nationally, we observe breast cancer awareness for the month of October. And this year, as everybody may recall, the township is hosting Real Panthers Wear Pink Breast Cancer Awareness Walk, which I believe is scheduled Thursday, October 22nd at Panther Park from 6 to 8. My understanding, and Mr. Tucci, correct me if I'm wrong, this requires registration, and I believe that the township website has the link for online registration for anybody that wants to participate.
That is
in
correct.
Okay. So just for the public, as a reminder, this is a great event, and we encourage you to register and participate this year. Lastly, Mayor, on another positive note, I'm pleased that the governing body will be considering the passage of Resolution 7E this evening. I know we've been discussing it for last month, which is a resolution that opposes the governor's executive orders that prohibit in-person voting for this November's state and federal elections. I've expressed my displeasure already with the governor's prohibition, and I'm pleased that the governing body of Cedar Grove will consider adopting this resolution. So thank you. That's all I have, Mayor.
You're welcome, thank you very much. Councilman Sakala, good evening.
Good evening, no report, Mayor.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Good evening, Councilman Zakelli.
Good evening, Mayor. One quick item. I think we all received an email from a citizen about the watershed property and the illegal dumping back there. I don't know if that's Newark still, that's us now, but I was appalled to see those images, and if you have any insight on that.
And just to give a follow-up report on that, Councilman Kelly did call me on that. That debris there has been documented before we took over the property. So that was debris that's been there since the city of Newark owned it. They have been put on notice by our engineering department, and they are accepting it and are going to clean it up.
Thank you.
So that's taken care of.
No further report, Mayor.
Okay, thank you very much. Deputy Mayor Tanella.
Very quick, Mayor. It's a couple acknowledgements. First, I want to acknowledge you and the great job you've been doing. We're 4 months into your term as mayor, and I know you've worked really hard with Mr. Tucci to get us back to some type of normalcy, and here we are at our first public council meeting. I know you've pushed to get our committee meetings back to normal, and just want to appreciate the great job you've been doing. It's hard enough being mayor, but also trying to be mayor during the middle of a pandemic, and you've been thrown right into it, and you've been doing a great job.
Thank you so
So
much.
really want to acknowledge that. I want to acknowledge Councilman Sekeli with our Halloween celebration. We're getting a lot of great public feedback about it. I think the community's excited, again, trying to bring some sense of normalcy to our community. So I think it's a great idea, and I'm looking forward to participating in that celebration with our colleagues. And then lastly, I know we already talked about it, I just want to thank Kevin O'Toole and Tom Scrivo. I think they're our largest private employer in Cedar Grove. And whenever we need something, they always seem to come through for us. Kevin, born and raised here, sat on the council 3 terms as mayor, our senator, we always reached out to him, and even now, in his retirement from public office for the most part, he's still, finding ways to help us out, and same with him, his partner, Tom Scrivo. They always are there for us, and to see what they did tonight, and I can't imagine it, just doing the excitement to have. It's hard enough, everybody's trying to wear these masks, but at least you have, that Panther pride, and you have, these masks. It'll bring a sense of community to the school children. It's going to be good for them to have.
I also believe they are our largest taxpayer in town also.
Are they? Yeah. It's tremendous. So just want to thank them publicly as well. That's all I had, Mayor.
Thank you so much. And I just want to start off by echoing those sentiments. I know Mr. O'Toole and Mr. Scrivo, just from my daughters being in the high school and seeing the donations that they have immediately. They just give and give and give, and now this donation tonight. They are, Kevin continues to just give back and give back and give back and goes above and beyond, and his generosity is deeply appreciated within the township, and thank you so much, Councilman Sekeli, for making that happen. Also, about Halloween, I think everyone is really excited about our event and being able, to have our drive-through trick-or-treating. I believe the library is also going to have some crafts on the library lawn.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so I know I had asked all of you this, but I just want to kind of firm it up. The student council president, Francesca Catalano, had reached out along with her advisor because they saw our event and they wanted to get involved. We threw around some ideas, and I think if it's okay with the governing body, just because we're trying to keep it at what we originally set it out to be, if it's okay, since the library is going to have some crafts, maybe they could just have a table and hand candy out too. Is that okay with the?
I have no objection to that, Mayor. I think if we can keep it transitory in nature and minimal contact, I think
Yeah.
that's the best.
Yeah, I spoke with the advisor today, and, she just said these kids just want to be involved in the community. They want to do something. They want to have some sort of normal senior year. I get that. So I told her I would just speak with the members of the governing body and get back to her tomorrow. So, okay, so they could just have a table and buy what the library's doing, and, okay. And also, Councilman Masseri, also to echo your sentiments with our item agenda 7E, I have received so many calls from residents very, very unhappy about the voting, and it's not our, I'm in agreement with when they call and they express their displeasure in not being able, they're calling saying, I just want to go and hit a button, I want to go and hit a button, I understand that. So I'm so glad that we are at least doing what we can do on our part to, send this to the governor and see what happens. And thank you, Mr. Semmerower, for your hard work on that, too. I appreciate it. And one more thing, just when it comes to, I just want to kind of put this out there. When it comes to, we're in the election now with lawn signs. There is a lawn sign ordinance. It's available, I believe, Mr. Tucci, is that available on our website?
It's on the website.
Okay, so we can't have political lawn signs on the tree line. We can't put lawn signs on a property without someone's permission and just stick it on public property thinking it's okay and it's public property. What's that?
No right-of-way.
Right,
Has
so.
to be on private property.
It has to be on private property, and you have to have permission from, and I'm bringing this up because I received 2 calls over the weekend from property owners who woke up on Sunday morning to lawn signs on their lawn, and they weren't happy about it. So just trying to, clarify that, please, everyone can familiarize themselves with the ordinance, and just please be respectful of how we're trying to regulate the lawn signs in town, so it doesn't get crazy. And that's all I have. Thank you very much.
If I could interrupt. I
Yes.
just have one more item I'd like to add.
Of course.
We have concluded our roadway overlay program. We overlaid 4 streets. The last piece of the overlay program is tomorrow. Our recycling center will be paved. And
Right.
it will be closed for the next 3 days. I just want to make that general
Yes.
announcement. This improvement is going to be tremendous because it's going to keep the recycling center a lot cleaner. I know Deputy Mayor Tonelli, you brought this to my attention
Right.
a number of times. So we've made a lot of improvements, new fencing, new pads. So it's for the public to participate and able to recycle in a lot better, cleaner facility. But just please bear with us over the next 3 days, and we'll get back to normal after that.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you for that information, and I believe a Nixle went out,
Nixle
because I
did
received
go
it,
out,
and I posted it on the Verona Cedar Grove Parents page on Facebook, so hopefully everyone will be aware of that. Thank you very much. Okay, item 7, new business. Item A is to consider introduction of pending ordinance number 20-865, amending Chapter 251 Vehicles and Traffic Schedule, time limit parking.
Mayor, I move for the introduction of pending ordinance 20865 to be published in full in the Verona Cedar Grove Times as a pending ordinance with the public hearing scheduled for November 2nd, 2020.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I have roll call, please?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the second. Thank you.
Mayor, just for clarification for the public, just to
Thank you.
explain what it is. Along with the improvements along Route 23, the parking restrictions have changed there. And this will allow for parking along Compton Avenue in front of the businesses, which I have to say, I met with the Downtown Advisory Committee, and they were ecstatic about the changes. They're reaping some of the benefits of that, and these are just ordinances that will coincide with changes that the state made in their parking ordinances so that everything matches.
Okay, great, thank you. Can I have roll call, please? Thank you.
Councilman Sakala?
Yes.
Councilman Missari?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tonelli?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes, item B, to consider introduction of pending ordinance number 20-866, amending Chapter 251 Vehicles and Traffic Schedule 2, no parking certain hours.
Mayor, I move for the introduction of pending ordinance 20-866 to be published in full in the Verona Cedar Grove Times as a pending ordinance with a public hearing scheduled for November 2nd, 2020.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Sakala?
Yes.
Councilman Missari?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tonelli?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes. Item C, to consider resolution concerning Altace USA Incorporated response to service outages following Tropical Storm Isaias.
Be it resolved that the Township Council hereby expresses their disapproval of the response of Altice USA Inc. to service outages resulting from Tropical Storm Isaias, and that they hereby criticize the deficient response of Altice USA.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve, Mayor.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Sakala?
Yes.
Councilman Missari?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tonelli?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes. Item 7E, to consider resolution opposing Executive Order Number 177 and 179, mandating conduct of November 3rd, 2020 general
Mayor, I
election.
think we were on D, item 7D.
Oh, no.
We missed the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
PSAG.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, sorry. Item D, to consider resolution concerning PSE&G response to service outages following Tropical Storm Isaias.
Be it resolved that the council hereby expresses its disapproval of the response of PSE&G to service outages resulting from Tropical Storm Isaias, and hereby criticizes the deficient response of PSE&G.
Thank you. Can I have roll call, please?
I'll make a motion to approve, Mayor.
Second.
Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. Getting all confused here. Okay, now it's roll call.
Councilman Sakala?
Yes.
Councilman Messeri?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tinella?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes, okay, you know what, this is, yeah, I'm messed up here. Here we go, okay. Item 7E, to consider resolution opposing Executive Order Number 177 and 179 mandating conduct of November 3rd, 2020 general election.
Mayor, if you please, I'd like to make that motion.
Yes, thank you. Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Mayor, under discussion, I just wanted to add on to what you said and what Councilman Messeri said earlier. I'm so glad you brought this up. And I mean, it's just troubling that we can't go to vote in person. I know we've been talking about this now for the last few weeks since you brought it up, but it's you know, it's really troubling. You guys sit here and, well, we can do so many things in person and we can't go in on election day. So I'm glad you brought this up, Councilman Messeri, and I'm glad we're putting this together unanimously as a council.
I
Thank you,
agree.
Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can I have roll call, please?
Councilman Sakala?
Yes.
Councilman Messeri?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tinella?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Yes. Item 7F, to consider resolution concerning submission of amended Municipal Alliance Grant Strategic Plan.
Be it resolved that the council does hereby authorize the submission of an amended strategic plan for the Cedar Grove Municipal Alliance Grant for fiscal year 2019 to 2020. And also submission of an amended strategic plan for the Cedar Grove Municipal Alliance Grant for fiscal year 2020 to 2021.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve, Mayor.
Thank
Second.
you. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilman Sakala?
Yes.
Councilman Messeri?
Yes.
Councilman Zakeli?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Tinella?
Yes.
Mayor Peterson?
Mayor,
Yes.
can I just give a brief explanation on that, because that's a little bit convoluted and confusing. The state of New Jersey, because of COVID, extended their fiscal year to include a fifth quarter. Instead of a fourth quarter, they made it a fifth quarter because they were related to their budget, which in fact affected the municipal alliance grant and how that's funded. So what happens is the council has to do an amendment to their plan to include money so that we receive money for that fifth quarter. Otherwise, when we do the new submission, we're gonna get shorted in the end.
Right.
So that's why we did that for the fifth quarter, plus our strategic plan going forward for the following year.
Okay,
Just so
great.
everybody understands what that.
Thank you. Thanks for that explanation. Okay, item 8, meeting is now open to residents of the township wishing to be heard on any item on or off the agenda concerning township business. Good evening, Ms. Hartwick.
There you go.
Kate Hartwig, Essex County Liaison. The county is continuing to offer COVID-19 testing sites for residents. This week, we'll have nasal swab testing on Friday, October 9th at the Weequahic Park testing site. And this Tuesday, which is tomorrow, October 8th, there'll be the saliva testing at North Caldwell Recreation. For both programs, you can register on essexcovid.org, essexcovid.org. We also have a food distribution event this Thursday, October 8th at 9 a.m. at the Charles Bullock School, which is in Montclair, for any family or resident who is in having food need at this time. In addition, the county is offering an emergency rental assistance program. There is an application process in order to participate, and there is a limited time to submit those applications. They are available from October 2nd, which was last week, through October 23rd. There is a website application, and I will make all of this available to you so you can post it on the website as well. But it does require participation of the landlord to accept the payments through this program as well.
Kate, is the rental assistance program through the Community Development Block Grant?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
And last but not least, we had a successful hazardous waste collection event this past weekend. And we will be having our usual electronics recycling event coming up. And it is on October 16th and 17th at Bradford Avenue at the Fleet location. And that's it.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mayor. Charles DeVico, 111 Holly Lane.
Good evening, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Mayor. And I apologize, I'm probably covering some things that might have been covered over the last 4 or 5 months, but it's been a little bit difficult staying with everything. Interesting, the Board of Education members here this evening. The status, if it's already been reported, and I apologize, has pilot fund allotment to the Board of Ed been arranged? Has that been finalized yet with regard to what portion of the pilot funds would be allocated to the Board of Ed in support of the school system?
Mayor, if I might?
Yep.
That's an ongoing discussion that's going on. If you heard the Board of Education President talk about a follow-up meeting, that's one of the topics that will be presented in the future.
So I haven't missed it, it just
No, you
hasn't
have
occurred
not.
yet. Okay. On same topic, budget, if I could, because I wasn't able to participate in the budget discussions. Where is pilot funds actually shown in the budget? I'm probably saying this way and looking that way.
That's okay.
Actually, the pilot funds show up as fund balance on the revenue side of the budget, not on the appropriation side.
So within the total revenues, general revenues shown on the budget report,
Yeah,
it would
you'll
be...
see fund item for fund balance.
Fund
And
balance.
it's incorporated in that number. What happens is it gets coupled together with our general revenue that comes in, but we have a separate accounting that accounts for those dollars versus our revenue generated by other means.
Okay. Is it possible to understand how much has been budgeted in pilot funds for this current year's budget? Is it line items shown, or is it
Well,
just...
when you say budgeted, you want to know how much is being utilized for operating expenses, or what exactly is the question?
The question is, how much revenue has been anticipated via the Hilltop property in form of pilot funds for this current budget period?
I could tell you how much revenue has been taken in to date, right now for this year. As far as what was been appropriated, expended from those dollars?
Yes.
I can tell you nothing. Nothing has been expended, and so far, up to this quarter, I believe $1.7 million has been collected.
Which,
And that's payment in lieu of taxes. It's
Correct.
not taxes.
understood, and because property taxes were separate
They're
line items.
separate and distinct.
And I guess the point I was trying to ascertain was, in previous meetings, Mr. Tucci has advised the committee how Hilltop sales have exceeded their projections, which translates into more pilot funds coming into the township than perhaps had been initially envisioned for this current fiscal year, since sales are running ahead of what projections were.
Timing-wise, yes.
Timing-wise.
Yes.
So-
Not,
so-
dollar-wise, it'll be the same, but they could have arrived earlier than anticipated.
And I guess, trying to project myself going forward, there's going to be a pool of funds when the project completes that will be somehow distributed amongst school operations, operating budgets, and so on. And that number should approximate somewhere $5 million thereabouts?
No.
No.
No. The projections early on that the governing body received were probably about $3.3 to $3.5 million when the project is completed.
The pilot program is 2.5% of the deeded sales value, correct?
Correct.
So for 400 and some odd units, of which 90 some odd are affordable housing, so they have a much lower.
Correct.
But of the roughly 400 units that are average selling somewhere in the area of $500,000-$600,000, that should generate more than $3 million on an annual basis.
Based on the initial projection that we have, again, I don't know what the realization is going to be because I don't know what the final sale prices are. Again, the projected sale prices and the final sale prices are going to be two different numbers, only because the market conditions changed drastically during this COVID, which accelerated the sales, made them faster, and also increased the prices. So your number may be correct, may not be correct, but I won't know that until we get through one full cycle. And
I understand.
we're not there yet.
I understand.
Mr. DeVito.
And again, I'm not, Mr. Tucci has his hand on this, and implicitly I understand and trust him, because he knows where he's going. I guess the reason I try to bring it up, there is, aside from our property taxes that will be allocated in revenue, there is this pool of funds that has to be distributed at some point, whatever that number is, 3 million, 5 million, whatever it may happen to be. A portion has to go to school and other operations and so on. And I was just trying to better understand how that determination or how that allocation, how that will be determined, other than debt reductions that take place in terms of where you're heading on that. It's just a point, I guess, where
Well,
transparency is going to be important is understanding. You go through line item budgets religiously every January and February where you allocate, someone approve $175 for copy of paper. Well, you got this pot over here of X millions of dollars that's going to be divvied up every year. It is important, I think, to understand just how that's going to be done and how it's going to be achieved.
if I could just,
Sure.
I know we had a private conversation about this in the past, and the governing body's directive has been not to utilize this for operating funds, but to utilize it for capital funds, so that we're not paying debt service on big projects.
Right.
Case in point, this governing body received $1 million from K Hovnanian as part of the project. They allocated that to buy a brand new fire truck, 700 some odd thousand, and all new masks. Now, if we didn't have that money, we would have had a bond, it would have been debt service, which would have increased the taxes. What the governing body's trying to avoid is making it part of everyday operating expenses, because if we do, the day's gonna come when you no longer have those pilot funds. And what does that equate to? An automatic tax increase. Either that or a big reduction in staff and layoffs.
The good news is that's 30 years
The
from now.
structure here is to pay off big projects, meaning the city of Newark, $11.5 million. And I think their blueprint is right on the money, where it's never gonna hurt the taxpayers and only gonna help them to stabilize the tax and keep the tax rate low. That's why Cedar Grove traditionally has had the lowest tax rate, or close to the lowest, over the last 20 years, and hopefully into the future, we're gonna continue that trend. The other thing I think you should know that's very important, our debt ratio is approximately 11 to 12% of our bonding capacity. And if you do an analysis of towns in Essex County, you'll see that that's unheard of. Most of them are between 75 and 90% ratio as far as their borrowing ability. This council has a policy of pay as you go, and they've demonstrated it through the years. It's been a long-standing policy, and hopefully it'll continue into the future.
Let me be clear. There is no one I'd rather have running this material than Mr. Tucci. He clearly has a handle and so on. It is a case, however, that Mr. Tucci is not going to be here 30 years from now when this program expires. And the preparation and the anticipation is obviously paramount to the importance and survival of all of the things that Mr. Tucci just said. Which leads me to my last point, and then I'll get out of here and I'm going to go home and watch the Yankee game. We have, I think, given some sort of temporary approval, it's a resolution approval, related to 36 Cliffside Drive, which is not a pilot program. That is purely just going to be a development of multifamily housing that will put strain and stress on our operations from a school standpoint and the remainder of our infrastructure. Has there been any projections in terms of the assessed value of that process, of that project, the 36 Cliffside Drive LLC?
We are in the process of getting those numbers right now, putting them together to find out where we're going to be tax-wise.
And
And
again,
also the projection on generation of school children based on the product that's being built.
that's kind of what I was getting to. As opposed to the Hilltop, where you have a pool of funds where there will be some segregation of those funds to support the impact to the school system. Clearly, whatever comes out of the 400 and some odd rental units, or whatever, 347 rental units?
I think it's 3 and change.
Three something rental units out of Cliffside Drive. Obviously, whatever impact on the school system is going to be borne in the school budget and borne through the taxpayer through property taxes. So it's a catch-up sign. And it's years away, but never too late to start thinking about where we are at.
Mayor,
Yeah.
if I could, Mr. DeVico, we're very early in the process. I know that project was just approved. As part of the process that this governing body has had for many years, there's a developer's agreement that needs to be entered into with the governing body. At that time, the governing body will examine those revenues and figure out the balancing act based on how many school children will be generated, and we'll have a better handle. And then I think, and I don't want to speak for the governing body, that they're gonna have that conversation with the Board of Education at that point to determine what the best avenue that the Board of Education is helping financially also.
Yes.
I don't speak for you, but
Yep, that's the plan.
Mr. Tucci, there was no tax abatements or any sort of tax credits given to the developer for that
at
property,
this
right?
point, no, Mr. Tito.
Great. Thank you, Mayor.
Did you want to say something?
That's okay.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to be heard? No, okay. Item 9 is to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved, Mayor.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.